I don't tell this story often because honestly, I don't even want to think about it, but I swear this happened. It still gives me chills. This was about 3 years ago when my son, Oliver, was just a baby. My wife and I had just moved into a new house, a small, older home in a quiet neighborhood. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was perfect for us. The only thing that creeped me out a little was the basement. It was unfinished and always cold, even in the summer. But I figured all basements are kind of creepy, right? One night around 2 a.m., I woke up to Oliver crying. Not unusual, babies cry, but something felt off. It wasn't his normal fussing, it was more of a scared cry. My wife was dead asleep, so I grabbed my phone and opened the baby monitor app to check the camera. And that's when I saw it. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. But no, there was someone standing in Oliver's room, a dark figure just standing by his crib, not moving, just standing there. My heart stopped. I couldn't breathe. My first instinct was to run in there, but a part of me was frozen. I could see Oliver kicking his little legs, squirming like he knew something was wrong. I blinked, and the figure was gone, just like that. I ran into the room so fast I almost tripped, but when I got there, the room was empty. The only sound was Oliver's whimpering. The closet was closed, the window was locked, no sign of forced entry. I stood there shaking, staring at the monitor screen in my hand. The playback was glitched. The figure wasn't there anymore, like it had never been there at all. My wife woke up when I brought Oliver into our bed, my heart still pounding. I didn't tell her what I saw, not right away. I didn't want her to think I was losing it, but the next morning we found something that still makes my skin crawl. On the baby monitor camera feed, there's a small indicator light that turns on when it detects motion. When I checked the footage from that night, the motion sensor had triggered 5 times between midnight and 2 a.m., and we were both asleep the whole time. We moved out a few months later. I never saw anything like that again, but every now and then, I wonder, if I had gone into Oliver's room just a few seconds later, would something have been standing there waiting for me? I've never told this story publicly before, but it's haunted me for years. I was 16 when it happened. My parents had gone out for the evening, leaving me home alone. This wasn't unusual. I was old enough to take care of myself, and honestly, I liked the solitude. I ordered some takeout, watched TV for a bit, then went to my room to scroll through my phone until I got tired. At around midnight, I turned off the lights and got into bed. My room was silent, except for the occasional creaks of the house settling. You know, the normal sounds you hear when you're alone. But then I heard something that wasn't normal, a rustling sound, very faint, coming from under my bed. I froze. I tried to convince myself I was imagining it, that maybe it was just the house settling or the wind outside. But then I heard it again, a quiet, deliberate breathing. My stomach dropped. I wanted to run, but I was afraid to move. I didn't even want to breathe too loudly. Slowly, I shifted my hand towards my phone on the nightstand and opened the camera. I turned on the flash, then with my heart pounding, I leaned over the side of the bed and snapped a picture under it. I almost screamed. In the photo, I could see him, a man, curled up under my bed, eyes wide open, staring directly at me. I dropped my phone and bolted. I didn't stop running until I was outside, in the middle of my street, barefoot and shaking. I banged on my neighbor's door until they answered and called the police. When the cops arrived, they found my back door unlocked. They also found something else, a knife, lying on the floor by my bed. The man was gone. They never caught him. I still think about that night, about what would have happened if I hadn't heard that rustling, if I had just fallen asleep. Would I have ever woken up? I was 10 years old when my mom made a new friend. Her name was Lisa. At least that's what my mom called her. It started when we moved into a new apartment. It was just me and my mom. My dad had never really been in the picture, so we were used to doing everything on our own. The place was nice, but kind of old. Creaky floors, dim hallways, the kind of building that always felt a little too quiet. A few weeks after we moved in, my mom started talking to someone. At first, I thought it was just phone calls. I'd hear her in the kitchen laughing softly, murmuring in low tones. When I asked who it was, she just smiled and said, "Lisa." I didn't think much of it, but then it got weird. One night, I woke up to the sound of my mom talking in the living room. It was past midnight. I got out of bed and peeked down the hall. She was sitting on the couch, alone, talking to the empty chair across from her. She wasn't on the phone. There was no laptop, no Bluetooth earpiece, just her, talking to no one. I remember feeling my whole body go cold. I asked, "Mom, who are you talking to?" She turned to me, her face pale, almost wrong, like she wasn't really there. "It's just Lisa, sweetie," she said. "Go back to bed." I did, but I barely slept. The next morning I asked her about it. She just laughed and said I must have dreamed it. But things got worse. My mom stopped going to work, stopped answering her friends' calls. She spent more and more time in the living room, whispering to Lisa. Sometimes I'd wake up and find her just standing in the dark hallway, staring at the wall. One night, I woke up and heard two voices, my mom's and someone else's. I swear to God, I heard Lisa. She was whispering. I couldn't make out the words, but the sound of her voice made my skin crawl. I wanted to scream, to run, but I just lay there, frozen, listening. Then my mom started laughing, a weird, breathy giggle, and suddenly, everything went silent. I stayed in my bed until the sun came up. That morning, I begged my mom to leave the apartment. I cried, pleaded, told her I was scared. Something finally broke through because after hours of arguing, she sighed and said, "Okay, let's go stay with Grandma for a while." We packed a few bags and left. The moment we stepped out of that building, it was like a spell broke. My mom started acting normal again. She didn't mention Lisa. She even seemed confused when I brought it up, like she barely remembered those last few weeks. We never went back. A month later, my mom finally admitted something. She told me that a few days after we moved into that apartment, she'd started seeing someone in the corner of her eye. A woman, just standing in the living room, watching her. At first, she thought it was just stress. But then, the woman started talking. And the more she listened, the more she forgot things. Forgot her job, forgot her friends, forgot me. I don't know what Lisa was. A ghost, a hallucination, something worse. But whatever she was, she didn't want my mom to leave. And if I hadn't begged her to go, I don't think she ever would have.